New Zealand and Bass Pro Shops Country and Market Report by John, Colin, Tanya, Rebecca, and Lauren.
The country our group selected was New Zealand. The capital of the country is Wellington. The primary religion is Christianity at 44%, and of those 44%, 12 of those are Catholic. The primary language is English. Ethnicity is European, 71% majority. And a fun fact is, the filming of location for the Lord of the Rings movies took place in New Zealand. The products we selected to look into were hunting and fishing gear. Hunting gear would involve guns, knives, bows, any repair work for those, ammunition, hunting apparel such as camouflage, boots, gloves, hats. You also have traps and tree stands and blinds. On the fishing side, you have fishing rod assemblies that include a full finished product, the rod, reel, line, ready to go, lures and bait, fishing line, tackle boxes, nets and traps. Then you also have boating accessories and boats, and kayaks and canoes, and lastly, boating safety equipment such as life vests or whistles or flare guns.
There are many factors that led us to linking the fishing equipment provided by Bass Pro Shops to New Zealand. New Zealand consists of two main islands and has about 15,134 kilometers of coastline. Due to the vast coastline and various lakes, outdoor activities such as fishing are popular pastimes in New Zealand. There are many different fishing experiences available. The North Island has snapper, kingfish, and tarakihi. The South Island has blue cod, trumpeter, and grouper. Rivers and lakes have rainbow and brown trout and sea-run salmon. Also, December to June is big game season, where fishermen can find marlin, billfish, yellowfin tuna, and kingfish. New Zealand is located on the southern hemisphere, so seasons are opposite of those in the United States. Bass Pro Shops would benefit greatly from the peak fishing seasons differing between the countries. Bass Pro Shops takes online, phone, and direct mail orders from New Zealand, so opening a facility there would help shipping costs in a market where they already have a presence. The climate in New Zealand can change unexpectedly, so it is important to be prepared for these changes when planning outdoor activities like fishing. The majority of New Zealand sees about 1,800 hours of sunshine each year. Long summer days allow for people to spend more time outside, which is why fishing and other outdoor activities are extremely popular. The annual rainfall in most areas is 600 to 1,600 millimeters each year, and the northern and central areas of New Zealand experience more rain in the winter than in the summer. New Zealand is located in the southern hemisphere, making the seasons opposite of those in the United States. The summer season is from December to February. The temperatures in summer fall around 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, or 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. When most of the United States is experiencing winter and fishing is not as common, New Zealand will be in their peak fishing season. Fall is from March to May. In fall, the temperatures are cooler. The winter season begins in June and ends in August. During this time, temperatures are mild. Lastly, the spring season is from September to November. And like in Ohio spring, New Zealand can experience weather of all types during this season.
New Zealand's population and geography. New Zealand has a population of 4,657,817. They have seen a reduction in their unemployment rate to 5.3%. The World Happiness Report, created by the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, has ranked New Zealand at number 9 out of 158 countries that were analyzed. It is an island that has a landmass of 267,710 square kilometers. It boasts a temperate climate with 4 distinct seasons. That, combined with a diverse topography, offers an array of outdoor sports.
New Zealand has a variety of ethnic groups that make up their population. In the 2013 census, people were able to identify with more than one ethnic group. The most common ethnic group is European, in which 71.2% of the population identified with that group. Other ethnic groups in New Zealand are Maori with 14.1%, 11.3% are Asian, 7.6% are Pacific peoples, 1.1% are Middle Eastern, Latin American, and African. Also 7% of people answered other, not stated, or unidentified.
New Zealand political background. As a country, New Zealand practices within a parliamentary democracy government structure. It gained its independence from the United Kingdom in 1907 and enacts a common law system based on that English model, but it does have special legislation for land courts for the Maori tribes. There's 3 main branches of government because they have the influence of the English government: executive, legislative, and judicial. Now, more of a European side than a United States side, they actually have some key officials that are a little different from what normally we would see here in the U.S. That would be like the Chief of State, which is Queen Elizabeth, the Governor General, Lieutenant General Sir Jerry Mateparae, and the head of government, Prime Minister John Key, and the other head of government, Deputy Prime Minister Simon W. English. They have multiple parties throughout the system, but the 3 largest are the National, with approximately 48%, the Labour, with approximately 25%, and the Green, with approximately 10%. There's also a handful of others that account for less than 10% of the total.
The official language of New Zealand is English, with 90% of the islands.
The most common religion in New Zealand is Christian, with 44.3% of the population. Within the Christian affiliation, there are 6 subgroups. Results from the 2013 census show out of all the people that stated their religion, 11.6% are religion, 11.6% are Catholic, 10.8% are Anglican, 7.8% are Presbyterian, Congregational, and Reformed, 2.4% are Methodist, 1.8% are Pentecostal, and 9.9% stated they are Christian but have no denomination. New Zealand is one of the countries that has seen a growing number of the population who does not have a religious affiliation. The percentage of the population with no religious affiliation in 2006 census was 34.6%, while the most recent census in 2013 stated 38.5% of the population has no religious affiliation. This shows that the numbers are growing quickly. Other religions present in New Zealand but are less than 20% of the population are Hindu with 2.1%, Buddhist with 1.4%, Maori Christian 1.3%, Islam and Muslim 1.1%, other 1.4%, not stated or unidentified 8.2%, and lastly those who objected to answering, which were 4.1%.
New Zealand State of Economic Development. The OECD reports it ranks in the category of highest living standards. The OECD also reports a stabilized per capita income. Travel services have seen an increase of 25.6% in the past year, which adds to the economic growth of New Zealand. By international standards, the government debt is seen as low, which adds to financial stability. New Zealand has a solid financial system. The steady increase in outdoor activities, combined with the increase in tourism, support the basis for Bass Pro Shops to consider New Zealand a viable market for their company to expand into. To the economic growth of New Zealand. By international standards, the government debt is seen as low, which adds to financial stability. New Zealand has a solid financial system. Market analysis for New Zealand. The steady increase in outdoor activities, combined with the increase in tourism, support the basis for Bass Pro Shops to consider New Zealand a viable market for their company to expand into.
Principal industries and contributions to GDP as of Q3 2015. New Zealand breaks the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, down into 4 industry aggregates: service industries, primary industries, good-producing industries, and unallocated taxes. Service industries make up 64.87% of the GDP, and within the service industry category there are 11 subgroups. Rental, hiring, and real estate, 13.64%. Professional, scientific, technical, admin, and support. Technical, admin, and support is 9.57%. Retail, trade, and accommodation, 6.16%. Healthcare and social assistance, 6.01%. Financial and insurance services, 5.26%. Wholesale, 0.26%. Wholesale trade, 4.85%. Education and training, 4.67%. Transport, postal, and warehousing, 4.47%. Public administration and safety, 4.2%. Arts, recreation, and other, 3.2%. And information, media, and telecommunications, 2.81%. Primary industries make up 7.27% of New Zealand's GDP. Of that 7.27%, 5.58% is agriculture, forestry, and fishing, and 1.69% is mining. Good producing industries account for 19.36% of the country's GDP, which breaks down into 3 subgroups. 10.86% is manufacturing, 3.25% is electricity, gas, water, and waste services, and 5.25% is construction. Lastly, unallocated taxes are 8.49% of New Zealand's gross domestic product.
Distribution of wealth. The personal incomes, half of the population only made 1/6 of the country's total income. and the median individual income was $24,500. Men earned approximately 60% of the total income, while women only earned 40% of the total income. While the pay is equal among the sexes, women typically are staying home or working part-time to care for their family. Property assets make up over half of the household's wealth, and also the top 10% of households generate 50% of the country's total income.
New Zealand infrastructure. Due to its nature of being a group of islands, there's not much to say about New Zealand's infrastructure. It is modern, like many other areas in the world. As of 2013, it houses 123 airports. Most of those are unpaved, though, and there's a handful of modern ones like you would see back here in the U.S. large cities. As for railroads, it has about 4,000 kilometers of railroad going between. It also has 94,000 kilometers, almost 95, of roads. Also, those are half paved and half unpaved. It has 6 main marine ports, and those include Auckland, Lyttelton, Manukau Harbor, Marsden Point, Tauranga, and Wellington, the capital. Mostly the way the infrastructure is set up is that there's a handful of large urban centers and then roads that connect those large urban centers to small towns, but there's a lot of undeveloped land in between those. So you'll have the big cities housing a lot of people, and then the small towns housing a small amount, but they're kind of spread out. Part of the reason The Lord of the Rings was shot here is because there's so much undeveloped, gorgeous land.
Memberships and economic groups. These are the top 3 active economic groups in New Zealand. While there are many more, these are the most common. Progress leagues. These are comprised of businesses and civic leaders. This economic group encourages politicians to develop transportation systems through the community to promote local economic growth. This can be seen as a railway, a new road or highway, anything that would increase traffic through a town or a city, which would help with its economic growth. Trade unions, they're primarily democratic views, and this group develops and maintains powerful labor unions. They successfully lobbied the first Labour government, introducing universal, non-means-tested pensions. Lastly, federated farmers consist of dairy, wool, grain, meat, and produce farmers. And this addresses a wide variety of problems that impact the farming industry, such as waste, logistics, communications, and other natural resources.
New Zealand exports approximately $41.6 billion in 2014. New Zealand is one of the smallest economies of the OECD, and it is still...
Technology. The level of technology in New Zealand is continuously growing and changing as new technology is developed. Telecommunications and information technology attributed to 2.81% of the 2015 quarter 3 GDP. If Bass Pro Shops understands how the people of New Zealand connect, the company will find the best ways to reach customers. In regards to telecommunications, there are 1.85 million users of fixed phone lines and 5.1 million users of mobile cellular phones. Approximately 4 million people use the internet in New Zealand, which amounts to 91.5% of the population. In 2012, 66% of New Zealand's internet users made an online purchase and 65% engaged in social networking.
Hunting and fishing gear are the 2 focuses of products selected for the Bass. Hunting and fishing gear are the 2 focuses of products selected for the Bass. Hunting and fishing gear are the 2 focuses of products selected for the Bass